Hello, my name is MJ. You're welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're a first-time viewer, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel before you leave. To all of my old and returning subscribers, thank you so much for your love and support towards all of my contents. Today I want to share with you 6 commonly asked Band 6 nurse interview questions. So if you've been preparing for your Band 6 nurse role and you're confused, you don't know what sort of questions to expect, this video will come in really handy for you. And not only will I give you these questions, I'll also give you tips on how to answer them correctly. If you're yet to watch my previous video on how to apply for a Band 6 nurse roles, kindly watch that video because I provided pointers that will help you to have a successful application. Without wasting much of our time, let us get started. Just before I proceed to giving you these interview questions, I'd like to point out a few things. Before you apply for a Band 6 nurse role, it is very important that you are ready. You're ready physically, psychologically, emotionally, because this role will take so much from you. As a Band 6 nurse, you need to be proactive, you need to be very knowledgeable, and you also really need to know what you're doing. You need to be able to think on your feet without having to ask so many questions, because you will be faced with different situations and you are expected to provide solutions. So this is why you need to check yourself. Are you ready? Are you sure you're ready for this role? This role is more about leadership and management. Partly management, but mostly leadership. Okay, so it's really key that you are ready. Check your readiness for this role before you apply. You need to ensure that you have the right qualifications. For most of you who don't know, I am a Band 6 nurse in the NHS. I work as a senior theatre practitioner. And when I applied for this role, trust me, I only had a diploma, okay, and I still got it. My first job interview, I didn't get feedback, but my second job, I got it right away. In fact, the response and the feedback I got from my interviewers were mind-blowing. Okay, and this is because when I got the first rejection, I had to go back and really get prepared. So this is why I thought, let me share this video, let me share these helpful tips that are guaranteed to help you. So it's really key that you have the right qualifications. And when I mean the right qualifications, it doesn't mean that you necessarily need to have a degree. There are certain certificates, there are certain trainings that you can get that will help you in preparing, not just preparing for this role, but also, in having a successful application. And this is why you need to watch my previous video on how to successfully apply. Thirdly, you need to read up about the department or the specialty that you're applying to. You need to know about certain policies that are underpinning your profession and your ethics in that department, and also know certain processes. For instance, the admission process, the discharge process, the referral process. These are key to your interview. These are things that will be highlighted, will be tested during your interview. When you're preparing for an interview, during your application, there are certain things that they will specify in that application. They're going to state certain qualities that they are looking out for in you, and then they will also state how this will be tested. Have the necessary knowledge and skills. The amount of knowledge and skills that you've got will largely influence the way you respond to certain questions. And this is what sets you apart from other candidates, where you give policies to back your questions up, the way you give scenarios to back your questions up. We set you aside, we set you apart, we make you stand out from other candidates. Loads of people will apply, but they want the best candidates. Lastly, respond to questions like you're already a Band 6 nurse. Be assertive. Don't say, I will do this. No, you are responding straight up like a band 6 nurse. You need to show so much confidence in that role. They need to be sure that when they give you this role, you will perform well. Now let us go to the 6 commonly asked band 6 nurse interview questions. Like applying for every other role, the very first question, the most common one, is usually, why did you apply for this role? That's usually the most common question, and usually they are asking this question because they want to get to know you. Okay, they want to know what's your passion. They want to know what really interests you about that role that made you apply. So when you're responding to this question, simply give them a comprehensive why. Why? Okay, talk about how you got to know about them. Talk about your appraisal, talk about your interest, talk about your passion. These are the things that they are looking out for. Talk about your readiness, and your readiness is based on your appraisal report. What did your line manager or your mentor say about your performance last year? That make you think that you are ready to be a band 6 nurse. So these are the things that you should highlight when you're giving them a why. And key, hammer so much on your passion, okay? Because as much as they want a candidate that is knowledgeable and have the right qualification, they also want to check that you are passionate about that role, because you being passionate about the role will influence how you perform. It will influence your performance largely. Build your interest in career progression, because you want to be, you were a band 5 nurse, now you want to be a band 6 nurse. Is all about progression. So talk about your passion towards career progression. The second most commonly asked band 6 nurse interview question is, what's your job description as a band 6 nurse? And this question is simply out there to test your knowledge of your job description. A lot of times, some people don't even know what their duties, roles, responsibilities are all about. So they want to be sure that you know what your duties are, you know what your limitations are, you know your job description, you know what is expected of you as a band 6 nurse. These answers are simply in your job description. During your application, they will always provide you with a job description for any role that you're applying for. So simply go back to that and read up your job description. This is what they're asking you in this question. Remember to always give a scenario to back up your answers. Honestly, because not only are you showing them that you have the knowledge, you're showing them you have experienced it, and this was how you sorted things out, or this was how you responded to that particular situation. For instance, if you are responding to a question regarding your leadership role that is trying to test your leadership skills, then you need to give a scenario that backs it up. A scenario that has put you in a position where you needed to take action. Because as leaders, you take action. It's really key for you to read up about leadership management. It's really, really key, because band 6 role, like I said earlier, is largely about testing your leadership skills. Third most commonly asked band 6 interview question is, how do you run a shift? And if you're in the theater, they ask you, how do you run a list? Okay, so depending on what department you're applying, if you're of course in the ward, they will ask you, how do you run a typical shift? How do you run a shift in a day? And when you're answering these questions, I want you to talk about every step of the day. You're starting from resumption up until handing over and taking over. Talk about how you allocate breaks, the importance of breaks, and talk about delegation. These are the things that they want to see up until you finish the day's activities and you need to hand over again. So simply run them through your typical day, your typical shifts as a band 6 nurse. And when you're giving scenarios, give them examples that has put you in the leadership position. For instance, taking charge. How do you take charge of a shift? Even if you have never taken charge of a shift before, you have taken charge of a bay. talk about that. Fourth most commonly asked question, this question might be asked in form of a scenario, is the difference between leadership and management. Simply give them a literal meaning. Give them a literal meaning of leadership and management. What's also common between these two? These are the things they want you to highlight, and then give them a scenario that answers that question. Another frequently asked question is, how do you manage difficult patients, client, or patient relative? It doesn't matter what department you are. I am very sure at some point you have encountered difficult clients or difficult relatives. Okay, what they are really testing in this question is how you diffuse a conflict. To be honest, that sums up what they want to know about this question. So they want to know how you are able to communicate, how you are able to cool off a very hot situation, escalation process, the processes that you take to escalate if that situation is eating up too much and you're unable to handle it. Final question is, how do you support a struggling learner? As a band 6 nurse, you are a leader. Okay, you have students under you, you have other junior staff under you, you have new starters under you, right? How do you support them? How do you teach them? How do you stand as a mentor? Okay, how do you stand as an assessor? So this is what they want to test with this question. How are you able to assist a struggling learner? So if you have a new student or a new starter that is allocated to you, how did you mentor them? And then maybe you have one that is really a slow learner, because of course we will have slow learners. How do you support them? Okay, and this is the tip that I use to answer this question. First, I talk about communicating with them. So talk about communicating with them, because if you don't communicate with them, then how do you identify the problems? How do you identify what they're going through, and how do you help them? So first is communicate. And during the process of communication, you're able to identify the problems. You're able to make certain points down, and then you create action plan with the particular student or struggling learner, and then you also need to follow this up. So this is the tip, this is a process that I use to answer these kind of questions. So I hope that you found this video helpful. Don't forget to watch my video on how to apply for a band 6 nurse role. Remember, you don't need to have a degree. A diploma is fine. I applied with a diploma and I got the job, and you can do the same. I hope that you found this video helpful. Let me know in the comment section if you did find this video helpful. Let me know what other things you want me to talk about. If you've got questions, please drop it in the comment section. Guys, do not forget to share this video with somebody, a nurse that you know will find it really, really helpful. Okay, talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues about this channel. If you are really benefiting from this channel, watch my other videos, watch my vlogs. I've got life outside nursing. Check out my other videos and support me on this channel. If you've got questions that you want to ask privately, send it to me on my email. My email address is nursenj01@gmail.com. You can also follow me on all of my other social media platforms. See you guys next time. Take care. Good timing, yeah. Need no middleman. I'm the man, send it in.